Why can't I hear anything? God damn it, don't tell me my headphones are busted now. Oh my god. Where's my other headset? Ah. They won't even work at all. Fucking shitty. Fucking dumbass fucking other headset. Probably isn't even going to reach. Yep, doesn't reach. Fuck's sakes. Where is it? Oh, that's why. course, my headphones had to fucking break before I, like... What the fuck is the fucking point of any of this? There we go. Finally. Unfortunately, I only get to have mono audio and only the left side for this session. But whatever. Gives a shit. Garbage. Pretty fucking loud in my fucking ear. That might be a better volume. Time to get Oops. mixing bowl, silent chatter. Well, non-chatter since you're silent. Silent water. Fucking. Oh God. if this will just fucking... Oh. Let's get on with it. What's that gonna fucking do? They're gonna fucking be on. If they manage to break off, they're gonna become one of the richest fucking countries in the world. Honestly, I'll tell you that much. That in fucking Saskatchewan. everybody wants immigration to stop. Like, it needs to pause. Up here and down south. Like, no, I'm not gonna say it. They'll probably say it. Yeah. 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 If the French and the English could just get the fuck along for once. Maybe. I don't know. Quebec's kinda... Now we have conflict within the country. Yeah, you can't just open the fucking floodgates, man. We don't have... This is a big country, but we don't have much fucking infrastructure. We really don't. I don't think that's gonna work. I really don't. Probably, maybe, hopefully. But at the same time, yeah, right, buddy. Hey, I don't know. Some people flip-flop. My fucking eyes blurred up. An over-important small man. Oh, this is the best. This is a classic. Ah, come on. which I really don't want to be. Like, how the fuck are we supposed to? No, no European Union for Canada. We're North American. We're not fucking European. We have European ancestors, some of us. But we're not a European country. For like the past like 10 years, I don't want it to turn into communism. I'm just not down with that. I wouldn't want it to turn into a fascism either, though. You gotta like, there's either extreme without being a fucking retard. To be quite frank, because either extreme is fucking retarded. Like, it's so fucking follow the leader. But then again, we are just pack animals, bunch of fucking hairless monkeys. He's so fucking cringe, man. He's so fucking cringe. Anytime someone says I've heard, they're lying. They're bullshitting. They are speaking verbal diarrhea. And that's all this guy fucking speaks, Mr. The only time he speaks in like perfect like sentences like this is because it's something he's rehearsed, right? Anytime he has to like think on his fucking feet, it's like yeah. And who did Trump make the fucking pump up video about? Fuck. Let's pull that up. Let's pull that shit up. Let's pull that shit up. Alright, right video. I'm not gonna be able to find it. I'm not gonna. Fuck that shit. Okay, fuck that shit. Fuck it all. Fuck it in the ass. Oh shit, wait. Idiot.
really be thinking about a lot harder. There's also a few other things that I have heard come out of actually been doing some researching into it, and I can't wait. You should really be thinking about a lot harder. There's also a few services tax. We have so much thoughts down below, and as always, share this video. There was one little detail that everybody seemed to miss and not focus on, despite how unbelievably important it was when it came to the latest revelations with Donald Trump and Mark Carney and relaxing the digital services tax. We have so much to talk about with that, really picking it apart and also telling you that one key piece of information that you should really be thinking about a lot harder. There's also a few other things that I have heard come out of CBC, come out of Mark Carney's mouth in the Liberal Party of Canada. And you know me and how much I just love hypocrisy. So I've actually been doing some researching into it, and I can't wait to show you all that and more today on Over Opinionated.
One hopes that there's a quid pro quo and that Canada will get something out of that. But of course, that wasn't announced. We just know that Canada made a concession on really quite short notice after a social media statement by the leader of a foreign country. And so given that that's sort of poor negotiating tactics, it must be a reflection that we're under severe pressure. And I think we should really brace for what might be quite a difficult outcome when these talks come to a conclusion.
I've been called all sorts of names for this one, but I do still stand by it. In the time frame that Donald Trump has been president the second term around, he has done more for Canada than our government has in so many ways. And this post from MP Melissa Lantsman that reads, 10 years of lecturing Canadians, vilifying anyone who didn't support them only to call themselves on their own bluff. Carney is methodically gutting the Liberals' holier-than-thou shtick on every single issue they told you they believed in.
A number of our allies and partners, including G7 countries like the UK, like France, like Italy, have a DST in place. They are collecting revenue from international tech giants, and that is revenue they are using to invest in their people.
Let's quickly fact check that. France, Italy, UK, and Spain have either implemented or proposed some version of a DST, the digital services tax. But important to note this one, almost all of them have paused it or scaled it back due to pressure from the United States or other OECD country negotiations. The U.S. also warned Canada multiple times that going ahead with this in 2024 to 2025 could trigger retaliatory tariffs. This was way back then, right? Which we have already seen under Donald Trump. Also, fun fact, under Mark Carney, the tariffs on Canada have actually grown. They've become harsher. They're more than they were before he was elected.
Right. So there's a number of different taxes that are at play with these companies. Several years ago, we put forward digital sales taxes. So people who subscribe, say, to Netflix pay tax. The companies already pay their traditional, say, income tax on their revenue. This is designed to be an extra tax, taxing some of the revenues that they would generate on things like using Canadian data or running digital ads or online marketplaces. And there are a number of other countries that have put a similar thing in place, but it's always faced pretty significant opposition from the United States on the premise that if more tax dollars are going to another country, less may be going to the U.S. So they've often opposed it on simply on those grounds. There have been efforts to craft an international agreement around this to find a mechanism to make it work. But Canada basically ran out of patience, and they said, we want the revenues, we want to move ahead. And if we're not going to put this agreement in place now, we're going to move ahead with the DST. And that, for a number of years, raised real ire amongst the U.S., where if you're trying to deal with some of these trade-related issues, creates a particular risk.
And there's a couple really big problems with this one that actually does breach OECD international tax negotiation norms, which makes sense why the U.S. is absolutely furious about it, because Canada wants to retroactively impose 3% of a tax from online platforms, ads, marketplaces, streaming, all of that back to December of 2022. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? And let's not forget that this isn't punishing the big tech billionaires that they are so convinced are the problem here, because the tech companies just pass that down to you, my friend. You, the citizen, the taxpayer, that money gets passed down to you. So you're actually only hurting your own people when you do something like this.
That we're concerned about moving ahead with this tax, because it didn't only affect U.S. tech companies. There were Canadian companies that would have been affected by this as well. And so when he's got some of these powerful companies saying, hey, this is going to run into...
You know why they want to tax us so heavily, right? Because we have negative billions. We have to make like several hundred billion to be broke as a country. I don't remember the exact number. Are you kidding me? I'm fucking retarded.
The billions of dollars and may reduce U.S. tax revenues as a result. No surprise that we would see the U.S. president say, I'm going to find whatever mechanism I can to try and stop it from happening.
And the logic of, oh, it's so we can invest in our people. Well, I mean, you could perhaps, I don't know, this is crazy, just build a prosperous economy. Maybe you could just repeal certain legislation that's got us in this position where our country barely generates any revenue, certainly not enough to keep up with the ever-growing deficits. And therefore, because you literally can't make more money than what you owe because of your abhorrent spending, you now have to add on taxes to try to generate that revenue for you.
That's it, isn't it? And if they... I mean, like, nah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple countries that have done similar things. It does not end very well. Also, this tax does not just invest in our people. It certainly does not, because it doesn't go to fund anything specific. It actually just goes back to general government revenue, which then gets lost in the black hole that is the liberal government spending.
They say that you're the Trump whisperer of the leaders,
I'm not
and
sure
that you're on texting, relations with him, and you're constantly talking. So is he still saying he wants to annex Canada?
What is this cringe-ass fucking shit? Trump whisperer.
He's not. He's not.
Trump whisperer. That's what every old fucking retard in Canada, every old-ass fucking person, boomer-ass motherfucking person who's not dead yet, but owns like a house that's now worth fucking $2 million, even though it's like a normal family home, same price as a fucking castle in Scotland. You know. Their number one worry in this world is Dolan Trump home. Not the fact that their fucking children or grandchildren are living in tents and vans. And like, or like, will not at least never fucking afford their own fucking home. But that's however. It pisses me off every time I walk by the fucking park and there's just like fucking city of tents. That never used to fucking happen. Not a year.
Admires Canada, I think it's fair to say, and maybe for a period of time coveted.
Canada is a very tough country to deal with, I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
You'll have to do it.
But USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
Had to point this out too. Mark Carney, his current, still active, pinned post on his X profile says, "This is Canada, and we decide what happens here." Do we really? Because you keep telling us that we're only doing things if the UK or the EU is doing them. So it kind of sounds like we don't decide what happens here, not to mention what just happened with Donald Trump. I'm actually pretty sure that you just copy other failing nations and try to justify it because, well, everybody else is doing it. You know that old saying, if you jump off a bridge or all your friends do? Yeah, doesn't look too strong, does it?
Last night I had a good conversation with President Trump, and we agreed to recommence our negotiations with a view to the 21st of July deadline that we had agreed in. Kananaskis, Minister Champagne and LeBlanc had conversations with their counterparts as well. We've restarted the discussions this morning.
Did you get anything in exchange for?
We have, to be clear, it's part of a bigger negotiation. It's something that we expected in the broader sense that would be part of a final deal. We're making progress towards a final deal. There's more to be done, to be clear. And as I just said, which answers the translation question, as I just said, is a question of timing in terms of the date for the final negotiations and when the tax was coming into effect. And, you know, it doesn't make sense to collect tax from people and then remit them back. So
I'm sorry, what? It doesn't make sense to collect taxes from people and then remit them back. Buddy, carbon taxes? No? 8 out of 10.
I'm not the only one who just like
10 Canadians get back more than they pay because they paid it in order to get it back. What about the GST holiday that y'all did right before the election was called? That's such a fascinating comment. You are right, though. I agree with you, Mark Carney. It doesn't make any sense at all.
You know, this policy actually was introduced by the previous administration in Canada, the idiot king, Justin Trudeau. It was bad policy then, and it's bad policy now. But Carney, the new prime minister, that Trudeau was thrown out after he impoverished 25% of the Canadian population, wiped out GDP, buried the country in debt because of one policy called Bill C-69, which doesn't allow development of any energy, anything at all. It's a no pipeline bill. So revenues collapsed in Canada during his 10-year reign. And now Carney has no income. There's no growth in income at all. So he's trying to find any way he can to make income. This is worth $7 billion to the Canadian economy, but obviously it's not going to work out the way he planned. Now, he may be just testing it, but he doesn't have a lot of options because Canada's economy has been wiped out by the idiot king, and he's got to fix it. And so at the end of the day, this is just another aspect of the negotiation.
Also, I stumbled upon this online. I'm not actually sure if these are initially from the Liberal government, though I wouldn't be surprised. I'll do some more digging into that. But apparently, the Liberal government has been using AI-generated ads in order to boost Mark Carney and his support on TikTok in particular for that youth vote. And this is just, oh gosh, wow. Who would have thought 24 hours later?
Did Trump just get outplayed by Canada? One day after Trump slammed the brakes on all trade talks, furious over Canada's 3% digital services tax on U.S. tech giants, he threatened tariffs and made it sound like Canada would cave fast. But Prime Minister Mark Carney, he didn't flinch. He fired back with 3 strategic punches that flipped the entire narrative. First, Canada's finance minister made it official. The tax is happening. No delay, no negotiation. By the end of the month, it's law. That's not a compromise. That's a line in the sand. Second, Carney made it global. Canada didn't just resist. The country reached out to Europe and other trade partners, expanding deals, diversifying supply chains. Then they made it clear, we are the canary in the coal mine, a warning to the world about U.S. economic intimidation. And third, Canada set a timer. If the U.S. refuses to come back to the table, retaliatory tariffs hit in July. Trump brought fire. But Carney brought focus, alliances, and timing. So here's the real question. Has the era of U.S. economic bullying finally met its match?
Oh man, the propaganda is real. You see things like that, honestly, and you take into consideration how many people actually don't research at all. They're just kind of scrolling and see as they go. How many people don't really care about politics, and that's why their brains are so malleable to this stuff. And it's no surprise that Mark Carney has the support that he does. Pierre Poilievre wrote, as recently as 2 days ago, the finance minister insisted the digital services tax would proceed. Then the prime minister put his elbows down and canceled the tax at the 11th hour. The tax is gone for good. In exchange, the prime minister should insist that the U.S. immediately rescind softwood lumber tariffs. We need to make gains for our workers in these talks. Canadians need certainty that Liberals will put Canada first and defend Canadian sovereignty in these negotiations. To stand up for Canada from a position of strength, the government must take emergency action to bolster Canada's economy. Fully repeal the No Pipelines Law, the industrial carbon tax, the tanker ban, the emissions cap, the EV mandate, and axe the capital gains tax on reinvestments in Canada. As always, Conservatives are ready to help get a good deal for Canada.
You know, my favorite thing that's happened out of Canada recently was when the No Kings protests spread to Canada, and then Canada remembered that they have a monarchy, so they had to change it to the No Tyrants holiday.
But remember, guys, Mark Carney is the crisis guy. He's a master negotiator. Yeah. Remember when he said,
yeah, we have a monarchy from an entirely different continent, but we're a sovereign country, right?
said this on CBC ahead of the election?
It would be helpful for Canadians to know exactly what you would do when it comes to tariffs. So why are you being so reticent to talk about that?
Because I'm a good negotiator. I have negotiated a number of situations in the past. I know how to manage crises.
I've been thinking about those comments a lot more lately. Maybe it came after reading his book, Values, where, you know, he really does get into deep detail about what his experience in the world is. And he claims that he's this master negotiator. He's the crisis guy. And so sure, yeah, you know, he has international climate finance agreements through his creation of GFANZ, the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. And in that, you know, they did convince about 450 plus global firms to align with net zero targets. lately. Maybe it came after reading his book.
It would be helpful for Canadians to know exactly what you would do when it comes to tariffs. So why are you being so reticent to talk about that?
Because I'm a good negotiator. I have negotiated a number of situations in the past. I know how to manage crises.
I've been thinking about those comments a lot more lately. Maybe it came after reading his book, Values, where, you know, he really does get into deep detail about what his experience in the world is. And he claims that he's this master negotiator. He's the crisis guy. And so, sure, yeah, you know, he has international climate finance agreements through his creation of GFANZ, the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. And in that, you know, they did convince about 450 plus global firms to align with net zero targets, many of which have since pulled out. Some are suing. And also, I guess he did indeed coordinate financial goals post 2008, you know, maybe got some consensus with G7, G20. Bank of International Settlements meetings, that sort of thing. But, you know, let's not forget that Mark Carney never did those things alone. He had a whole team of people who were below him who most likely did all of those tasks for him. And even in those cases, he was typically chairing discussions, influencing policy direction, and consolidating elite consensus, right? So that's a pretty different skill set than how he was this hardball negotiator, because at the end of the day, Mark Carney's job was not negotiating. It was getting consensus amongst other unelected elites who already agree with you in global financial circles. That's not negotiating at all, by the way. That is literally just consensus building. That's not democratic, real world debate, real world compromise. It's not negotiating at all. It's technocratic authority and power and influence to get what you want. That's what that is. And so the way that I feel about Mark Carney now, when anybody says something, oh, he's the best, he's going to save us in this crisis, it just kind of reminds me of like how I would feel if there was a referee mad that he didn't get to take the cup home to his hometown and do a big hometown tour just because the team happened to win on his shift. And here's another really important detail posted by Nadine Ness on X. Lovely gal. By the way, I've chatted with her a few times. She writes, I'll start by saying I never liked this tax to begin with. Canada already has too many taxes that stifle growth and push away investment and opportunity. That said, what's deeply troubling is that this law was passed through the full democratic process, 3 readings in the House, the Senate, then back to Parliament for a final vote. A prime minister should not be able to overturn a law made by elected officials through an order in council, bypassing Parliament entirely. If he can do it for this, what else will he override next? And why aren't more people outraged by this? If a matter is truly urgent, like in this case, it likely was, Parliament should be recalled, not bypassed.
Now we face another such moment. The world is changing. Old friendships are fraying. Our economy is being buffeted by a trade war we didn't start. Our values are being tested by attacks on democracy and freedoms that we must resist. As the world becomes more divided and dangerous, Canadians are uniting. Together, we will build one Canadian economy, connected by major projects, powered by Canadian energy, transformed by Canadian technology, and crafted by Canadian workers. Together, we're breaking down barriers across this country so you can buy Canadian everywhere and work
Bro, you guys literally just passed $1 billion to go to the Chinese Communist Party for BC ferries, but okay.
Together, we'll rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in our armed forces, because Canadian leadership is defined not only by the strength of our values, but also by the value of our strength. This is the greatest nation on earth. Together, we'll keep making it even better.
Wow, the Liberals never disappoint with their Canada Day messages. That I do know to be true. I can't even fathom what is going through your mind when you decide to use Canada Day as a day to push your propaganda, promote fear, promote resentment and hatred towards our neighbor, and to also totally embellish, exaggerate, and lie about what's happening in the world and the countries that we deal with. What? But also, this is what Mark Carney wants. Like, this is how socialists win. And you wonder sometimes why it is that they seem so gung-ho about censorship, silencing dissenting voices, calling people names, kind of as he just did there again. That was not a positive note at all about our neighbors, about the world, about other world leaders of whom he's been spending plenty of time with lately. That was a message of fear to make you scared, to make you feel like you need him and only him, so that they continue to win every single election going forward. And, you know, CBC would never once comment on that. They would never say, wow, that wasn't a really good message. Remember when everybody kept saying how, oh, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are just so gosh darn negative? Yeah, you don't hear any of them coming out of the woodworks these days, do ya? And you wonder why they are so gung-ho about censorship, misinformation, disinformation. You're a far right. You're a radical. Idiots. The Telegraph, which, by the way, is not funded by taxpayer dollars at all, actually wrote a pretty jarring article about Mark Carney and his handling of all of the challenges he's had and knew that he was going to have as soon as he was crowned the King of Canada. Well, they wrote an article telling the truth that the rest of the world is waking up to, that most Canadians will never see thanks to algorithm manipulation with Bill C-11, C-18, and the upcoming C-63. Essentially saying that Mark Carney's weak and he betrayed the Canadian electorate by going back on everything he campaigned on. How he branded himself as this steady, principled counter to Trump-style populism man, and then folded almost immediately under pressure, which Mark Carney's wife, the firm that she works for, even posted an article saying this would happen. So for those of us paying attention, this comes as no surprise at all. But they called Mark Carney's response weak. They said that, yeah, sure, Trump's approach is very chaotic. And, you know, it is what it is, but that Mark Carney agreed to a 30-day negotiation window, not retaliatory measures, essentially conceding to Trump's demands without any leverage at all. It goes on to say that this is a betrayal of Canadian voters, saying Carney sold strength during the campaign, but is now proving himself another image-obsessed technocrat, more worried about globalist approval than defending national interests. And then the article also ends by actually kind of giving a nod to Pierre Poilievre's rise, suggesting that if you want a real fighter for Canadian interests, he's definitely looking more legitimate than the banker-in-chief. This is who Mark Carney has always been. He is more loyal to Davos than to the Canadian middle class, or really any Canadians that aren't sitting up there on his pedestal with him in terms of their connections and elitism. I've said it from the beginning. Becoming prime minister is Mark Carney's wet dream. This is the best day ever for him. But the thing about this that's really unfortunate is that Canada just got so strong-armed on the world stage again. And instead of pushing back, because we really don't have much to push back with, thanks to Justin Trudeau, of whom Mark Carney advised financially for 5+ years, Mark Carney brought a pen to a fist fight. And what have we seen as a pattern here? Mark Carney and the Liberal government as a whole under Trudeau as well, of which he was very involved in, similar to Gerald Butts, who is still very involved in our government, despite not being an elected official and having conflicts of interest and really his own interests as to why he wants that role that have worked out quite well for him financially. You know, we've had such weak responses to foreign pressure, whether that be from China, the United States, or even the World Economic Forum, wanting to push us to do things that are terrible ideas. So at what point does Canada actually stand up for itself? Because we shouldn't be okay with having a government in power who reminds us every single day how scary and terrible the world is. The threats, the crisis, fear-mongering. That's not a good government. That's a very scary government taking you down a dark path that you may never get out of once it's too late. And it may already be pretty darn close to being too late in this country. When do we get tired of that? And when do we stop villainizing a leader who wants to unleash our economic resources and opportunities, who wants Canadians not to rely on the government? When do Canadians finally have that light bulb go off in their head that thinks, weird, yeah, that's cool and all that the government wants to save me some money, you know, by giving me a rebate. But I live in Canada. Why do I need a rebate anyway? What's going on here? This isn't okay. I don't want to rely on the government. When does that moment happen? Because that's what I'm fighting for this Canada Day. No, I do not think we're strong and free. I wish we were. We used to be, and I really hope that we can get back there. I'm not living in some alternate universe. I love my country a lot. I'm happy to be here most of the time, until tax season usually. But we gotta snap out of this, and we gotta snap everybody else out of this, because this is not how you're supposed to live. No, this is not okay. I'm Jasmine Lane. Thank you so much for watching. Again, YouTube and other platforms do not like content like this. So anything you can do, whether that's a subscription, a comment, a like, a share, a follow to help kind of get this message out there, have it pop up on more people's social media feeds. It is so incredibly important and needed, and I thank you so much for being a part of this with me, and not just me either, for everybody else who's in the space. There's not a lot of us, but everybody else who's online, who's talking about this stuff, who's just being real. We all need all the help in the world, because we have a massive propaganda machine against us.
Welcome back to a series so smart, Harvard added it to the curriculum. In today's Welcome back to a series so smart, Harvard added it to the curriculum. In today's video, Ludwig is in massive trouble. Tectone has just revealed some old tweets that absolutely expose Ludwig. Asmongold has responded. Lots of updates to the Emiru situation where people were harassing her for saying stealing content is wrong. One of those people has been exposed as a Hassan moderator and a degenerate freak. Bunch of more updates involving Ethan, Hassan, Taylor Lorenz, the hack journalist, and a lot more. Subscribe to join the greatest channel on planet Earth, maybe even Jupiter. I haven't asked the aliens. But let's begin with the king of all jellyfish, the king of all spineless creatures, Ludwig. So quick recap for the newcomers. Basically, if you didn't know, Mr. Jellyfish actually hosted an event called Mario Kart, and the whole concept was you get drunk and you play Mario Kart. Only problem is he invited one of his good friends, Mango, who is a known alcoholic. So what did good guy Ludwig do? He encouraged him to drink.
Mango just blew a .32! Let's up those numbers!
0.30 and above, this is where Mango was at. High risk of alcohol poisoning, coma, and death.
He's the two-time champion. He's never lost.
Feel zero guilt. I don't feel guilty at all. My dad had a serious problem with alcohol, and his rock bottom was death. He died at 43 years old, excuse me.
Mango went around humping pillows and then people, and then he was like harassing a few girl streamers as well. It was really cringe. Ludwig banned him from future events. He lost his 11-year org. He lost his career. Basically, life ruined. Meanwhile, Ludwig here got off scot-free. Alrighty, so since then, we have a lot of updates. It seems that a lot of people pointed out how bad what Ludwig did was, and the internet has absolutely turned on him. One of the people that called him out was streamer Tectone. In fact, he made another follow-up video which looks at some very damning information about Ludwig. Meanwhile, Ludwig has just been ignoring everything and playing League of Legends with CDogVA. But he did happen to say this about Tectone. Ludwig throws shots at Tectone after Tectone made some videos about the Mango situation.
Enable game chat. It's actually one of my greatest pleasures that I get to die never having to speak to these people.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like a Tectone video. I can die never watching one.
So true.
It's a good life. It's a good life that I get to have.
Like a really healthy life.
It is. It is.
Right, so that was a pretty random comment until you realized that this was right after Tectone made his video calling out Ludwig. So instead of addressing any of the points he made or taking any accountability for what he did to Mango, he just implied that, you know, Tectone is lame and nobody should watch him, I guess. And I just find it hilarious how he's saying, you know, I got a good life here while playing League of Legends, literally the most miserable gaming experience in existence. But okay, anyways, Tectone has responded with a new video clarifying some of his stances about the situation and going over Ludwig's old tweets.
A lot of you guys say Ludwig is not responsible for someone else's actions in his event. This is a good counter argument that a lot of people say. Some people might say no, some people might say yes. Do you know who would disagree with that very take? Do you know who would disagree that you are not responsible for someone else's actions? Ludwig himself. And this is why we're talking about this here today. The only person responsible for someone's actions is the someone that did the action. If little Timmy sees a video of a guy eating a load of Takis and faking domestic violence and then eats a load of Takis and slaps his crush, Timmy is responsible, not the other guy. I just said your argument is weak. Fight someone else in the comments. How is it weak, bro? Nobody is responsible for what random idiots do but the idiot that did it. The fact that you seem to think that you have this much pull and control over randos that roll up to his stream says more about ego than anything else, to which Ludwig responded, I think there's a lot of good arguments for not having responsibility. I just specifically think mentioning a 1 in 100,000 extreme cases proof of why that should be the case is weak. Weak argument equals weak stance. It's not weak, it's true. You aren't responsible for what randoms do unless you specifically say, hey, go do unshit in my name.
Right, so just clarifying the context there, just so nobody thinks this is out of context. Basically, Willie Mac Show made this tweet: you are not responsible for your audience unless you directly tell them to do something. They are their own people. If you have 100,000 viewers, statistically speaking, one of them is going to be unhinged. And he was responding to something by iDubbbz. And Ludwig responds, the argument that statistically 1 out of 100,000 people will be unhinged, so you bear no responsibility on the other 99999 is incredibly weak. And then we had the series of tweets that Tectone read. Right, so just to clarify what is going on here, Ludwig is arguing with somebody, trying to assert that a streamer is partly responsible for the actions of their chat, even though the chat is obviously different people. So I just find it interesting. Ludwig says, oh, Mango is a full-grown man. He should have known better. He is responsible for his own actions. Meanwhile, Ludwig also seems to think that other people do have a degree of accountability. And the thing is, I actually somewhat agree with Ludwig. Now, are you responsible for every person watching you? Of course not. Right now, there's like 500,000 people watching my videos every single day at this point, and I can't control that many people. So instead, I try to set some standards for my community. I always say never harass the people I talk about, always leave it to this comment section. And then I also try to embody the values I want you guys to have. Whenever I talk about someone, I try to provide evidence for all of my arguments, so you don't just randomly go and slander people like Hassan does. And if I ever make any mistakes, I will try and own up to it. And in that way, I take some level of responsibility, unlike, people like Hassan, who lets his chat spam hearts for a literal shooter who murders people. And he can obviously permaban them, but he chooses not to because that shows what he believes in. So Tectone continues his argument.
Ludwig, you have actively fought people who said that you aren't responsible for someone else's actions. You believe that you are responsible for someone else's actions. By the way, this was in regards to chat policing. This was in place for community policing, saying that a streamer is in control of their chat and a streamer is in control of their community, and they should dictate what that chat and community should do. So if you believe a streamer is in charge of their chat, randoms on the internet, why the do you think you're not responsible for taking care of one of your best friends in a weakened state around alcohol that you know is his vice, a suffering alcoholic, in a public, on-display format in front of hundreds of thousands of people?
Oh my god, I can feel the frustration coming from him here, because it is just insane that these guys were supposedly like super close friends, his ride or die. That is how Ludwig would refer to him. And with friends like Ludwig, who honestly needs enemies? Bro is so spineless, he immediately threw Mango under the bus, did not accept any accountability in what he did. You could have literally just said, okay, what Mango did was wrong, but also what I did was disgusting. I should not have invited an alcoholic to a drinking party. I should not have encouraged him to get more and more drunk on camera for the sake of views or entertainment for my stream. I should not have celebrated him literally drinking himself to the point of poisoning himself. But instead, what did Ludwig do? He wants to save his PR. Everything is about maintaining his audience. Oh, I'm such a good guy. I'm trying to mathematically craft the most inoffensive take possible. That is literally how Hassan describes him, by the way. And he's not wrong about that one. Ludwig tries to appeal to the max amount of people possible so he can get the max amount of viewers and the max amount of people don't hate him and watch his content. Well, sucks for him, but he couldn't hide his true self forever, and this drama just brought it out. And while the chat argument is definitely a little bit different and there's a lot of nuance to it, in this case, it definitely applies. Ludwig is absolutely in part responsible for what happened to Mango that night. And people brought this up in the comments as well, the fact that if a bar owner like overserves a guy drinking alcohol, they can be held like legally liable. If a bar overserves a customer, the bar can face several legal and financial consequences. This may include fines, loss of liquor license, and civil lawsuits from individuals harmed by an intoxicated patron. In some cases, bar employees or owners could even face criminal charges. So obviously, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know the legal details, but it seems like Ludwig could have possibly been held legally liable because he's the guy who hosted the event. There's tons of clips of him saying, let's get those numbers up, which is like so horrible, man. Anyways, after this, Tectone calls him out saying that this isn't just petty drama.
Ludwig, if you had a fucking spine, you would understand that you fucked up bringing Mango into that situation. You need to wake the up. Because if you are going to say that a streamer is in charge of their chat, yes, the streamer host should be fucking taking care of the people in their community. This isn't drama, Ludwig. This is you putting streamers' lives at risk for content. He blacked the fuck out. Even his tweets show he has no idea what the fuck happened. He doesn't even remember the night's events. He doesn't even remember doing anything. He was that fucked up, and you encouraged that. Now, some people are saying that he got to a .37 later in the party. I cannot verify that.
Okay, so again, I have no idea who actually said that, who messaged him privately or whatever. So I'm just gonna ignore that because, you know, .32 is already bad enough. It doesn't change the fact that the levels of alcohol were already way too high. And I think most people understand that this is way beyond drama. This is not something which you can just ignore, which is Ludwig's go-to strategy, by the way. Now, if you guys have been following the series, the last time I called out Ludwig...
Like, do you know how close to alcohol poisoning he was? And like the fact that he's an alcoholic is the only reason he probably didn't have alcohol poisoning. It's pretty fucking bad, man.
He was defending iDubbbz and Anissa for essentially taking 34% of the profits of the Creator Clash charity event. And essentially, people were calling out iDubbbz and Anissa for taking money from charity. And I did my best to give him complete grace regarding the situation. I said that it's just a bad take. And you know, I memed on him. I called him a Hassan Glazer, which he is. But anyways, if you remember, Ludwig actually responded to me, completely brushing off the situation. A chatter asked him about me, and he said, I don't care about the Mr. Beast guy or the More Pegasus guy or whatever. And he basically said that he stays away from the drama frogs. Of course, he is so above it now, right? Now that he's quit his Mogul Mail channel, because he literally refused to criticize Hassan under any circumstances. And if he dared to start that channel back, everybody would be in the comments saying, why aren't you covering Hassan? And you know, that is all okay. Some of this stuff is just drama. But this particular situation is actually serious. And in my opinion, if you actually have a moral compass, you would just take accountability for this. So people just know you aren't a complete scumbag. People are literally asking for the bare minimum.
And it's like, dude, I literally feel like I'm talking to a child right now. Like, I hate how in big 2025, you're 29 years old. We're pretty much the same age. I'm 31.
Oh, okay. Well, then Ludwig is just forgiven. He's not 32, guys. He didn't learn empathy yet. It's time to forgive him, guys. Then Tectone talks about how Ludwig was fully aware of what Mango's doing, and he shows clips to back it up.
Maybe you just didn't see, and this is why you're ragging this way after the fact. Oh, let's watch this clip real quick.
Karaoke?
We're doing it here.
Here?
Well, apparently everyone's just trying to run it here because we got drinks and it's easy to set up.
I'm down. Emily? Hi, Mango.
His eyes are glazed over. His speech is slurred. He's in an environment where his shirts are off because you thought of a great idea that it should be shirts versus skins. He's immediately trying to touch women.
Don't beat her ass.
You guys are amazing.
I won't let him beat you up.
You push him away.
Thank you, Lud.
He comes closer.
Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Boink.
You know he's being weird.
Right, so we literally see that Mango is trying to touch up on some girls, and Ludwig is fully aware of this. You know, he is purposely, like, pushing him away. So he's fully conscious. He knows exactly what's happening here. He knows Mango is in the wrong here. And instead of trying to help his friend, despite seeing all of this, he continues to encourage him to drink. I mean, come on. There's literally no excuse for this.
I got second in the...
It's right in front of you. You know he's being weird.
What the hell is that?
Right?
Borderlands spawns are actually good.
He's still being fucking weird.
It was fun. I was loving it. I love Borderlands 4. But this was the best day ever.
You push him away again. You then try to block him off from extra Emily.
She only watched that shit once a month.
You know very well that he is completely far gone. You know he was being weird. You chose to keep him on the stream because he's the two-time champion. You need him for content. You need him for views. You need him to make this event epic.
Ain't no party like a Luddy party. No, but for real, that shit is so weird and creepy. And again, absolutely nobody is justifying what Mango did. Obviously, being drunk is never an excuse to do something like that. It's just the fact that Ludwig is perfectly aware it's wrong, and he's aware enough to even control the situation, but he's still so desperate to make the event work, so desperate to use this guy, his best friend, for content, desperate for the clout and views of it, that he cheers his friend on. Ludwig sort of knew this was going to happen. He did not know that he's going to touch up on any girls or whatever, but he knew his friend would get drunk. That is literally why he invited him to the event, because he knows this guy's going to cause a bunch of chaos, and you know, it's going to be entertaining for the stream. You're telling me Mr. Let's Up Those Numbers guy didn't know? And as pointed out before, the fact that Ludwig can actually be compared to Johann Liebert from Monster, the most unhinged psychopath manipulator to ever exist, the guy who convinced an alcoholic to take another drink and convinced him to neck himself by jumping off a rooftop. I mean, Tectone also made this tweet where he just photoshopped Ludwig's face on top of Johann handing the guy a drink. Then he talks about how Ludwig refused to take even the lightest bit of hit to his reputation.
You couldn't even take a little bit of bad PR to ease it up on him even a little bit. You said, nah, f him. It's all his fault. I can't believe he did that. You said, oh man, disgusting. I don't condone that. Oh, pathetic. Not me. You couldn't have said, man, I feel horrible. Mango was my friend. I knew he was struggling with alcoholism, but I invited him anyways. I was warned, I didn't listen. People warned me again, I didn't listen. I fed into his weakness, I fed into his vices, and he f***ed up, and I hate the fact that I put him in that position. You didn't say that. You couldn't take any heat off of that. You let him fry and die by himself, and now his life is over. And I mean this genuinely, Ludwig. You completely butt Mango's entire life.
You know the best part about this? Everyone kind of knew this is exactly who Ludwig was. Everybody had this suspicion where Ludwig will do anything to save his own reputation, and it doesn't matter who he hurts in the process. I mean, you'd posted this YouTube comment of the day from my channel, and the top comment on my video, Ludwig the type of guy to hide his zombie bite in the apocalypse. And you know, it's a meme comment, but if you think about it, it's kind of true. Bro will do anything to save his own ass. And what do you do in this situation? It is him sacrificing his own friends to survive. The fact that this comment fits is actually crazy. What the heck? The zombie that bit him? Oh my god, what the XQC, bruh. He's the type of guy who would know how to cure the zombie infection, but won't say so because Hassan said on stream that the world deserves an apocalypse. Actually true. Hassan owns you, little bro. So let's check out Asmongold's response. Apparently he has his own separate beef with Ludwig, because if you remember, Ludwig and his chat absolutely hate Asmongold and constantly glaze Hassan. I'm not entirely sure why. It's probably because, you know, he hangs out with Hassan, probably agrees with some portion of his politics, hopefully not the terrorist propaganda, but who knows at this point. Considering his girlfriend hosts a podcast with him and was there during the Hezbollah clip as well.
But I just don't respect people's morals. Like Ludwig goes and pulls up my chat to try to make me look bad. You're getting this brought up because you trying to play games on me. You trying to make me look bad. We're gonna talk about it.
Okay, Mango is like an alcoholic.
Even Ray immediately knows this is a little bit not great.
That's dangerous. Let's up those numbers!
I better not even for a fucking second hear anything about my chat. Oh, my chat said something bad.
Wait, hold up. Black female protagonists. Let's check Asmon's chat real quick. Halo DEI. DEI trailer. Oh, it's a DEI game. If you didn't notice, that woman, you heard me say woman, was black. So that is woke and not a game I'll play.
So you trying to make me look bad because of my chat, but you don't want to look bad because of your friend?
I'm no longer inviting Mango to Mogul Moo's event.
That you told to drink alcohol at your party? You knew he was blood alcohol poisoning level drunk, and you were gassing him up. But the moment that I watch a trailer and I don't say a single thing, you're trying to farm hate on me. I wonder which one is worse. Oh, my chat said something bad. Fix your friends. Then maybe we can talk about my chat.
Dude, oh my god, Ludwig is such a pathetic worm, bro. The funny thing is, he's actually acting exactly like Hassan here. I mean, isn't that like a move that Hassan would do? Oh, let's check Asmongold's chat real quick. He probably doesn't like the black woman in the video game. You know, because he's probably just racist and sexist or something. That's the implication, by the way. That's the quiet part that is not being explicitly said. I don't know, it's just...
None of which means anything anymore.
Such a cringe low blow to take, and you just know these people are massive hypocrites. Here he is crying about Asmon's chat, but then again, he's not responsible for hosting the event and encouraging his friend to drink himself to a poisonous level. Newsflash, one of those things is about 100 times worse than cringing at a dumb video game.
I think Ludwig is a fucking liar. I think he's a fucking snake, and I think he would throw anybody under the bus to avoid a hate threat of his own.
Ludwig tries too hard to appeal to people, I agree. I'm not going to go as hard as Tectone, but I think that he tries too hard to appeal to people and it makes him feel inauthentic. I think that's where a lot of the negativity and hostility...
Where's this videoception here? This is some apocalyptic shit. What the fuck am I doing?
...towards Ludwig comes from. I like Ludwig. I think he's smart.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's a little bit too smart, and people are starting to see through it. No amount of Hassan glazing is going to fix this. Your Lord and Savior is not going to help you out. My genuine advice to him is just take accountability. You effed up really bad. Just own it. Apologize, especially to Mango, and then move on. Obviously, you can't change the past now, but you can make it a little bit better by showing you're not a heartless freak and you actually care about the situation. Ludwig has picked a side. Let's see how it works out for him. Never be on the Hassan side of things. You are gonna get cooked every single time. This perfectly encapsulates Ludwig. He's perfectly fine with something, then sees that it's unpopular on the internet and completely changes his opinion. Oh my god, this is like perfect, actually. Am I being called out for this? Okay, no, I don't support it anymore, guys. Ludwig needs permission from his wife's boyfriend Hassan before taking accountability. Oh my god. Are we gonna turn him into another iDubbbz here? Anyways, moving on to the Emiru situation. So basically, last time we talked about this, Emiru was being harassed by a bunch of Redditors and Twitter people for saying that stealing content is wrong, and she essentially supported Ethan's side of the lawsuit. So obviously a bunch of Hassan supporters came out of nowhere and started calling her vile things. Well, turns out the guy who called her out was a Hassan moderator who was a complete degenerate freak. Wow, what a surprise. The insane person who called out Emiru after she briefly mentioned Ethan Klein's lawsuit is a Hassan Piker Twitch and Discord moderator. So here we got this person called Gorby Chav who says,
Ooh, Discord moderator.
Woman who hangs out with every grapist she meets. I think Israelis are fine. By the way, she never mentioned Israel. And here we have his Discord account, and here we got Twitch mod for Hassan Diddy Piker. You cannot make cinema this good. Now, apparently this guy sent this message. Attention, if you're protesting in LA today, please stop by the Kobe and Gigi mural and make sure it's still ruined. Bro, what did Kobe do to you? Absolute unhinged psychopaths. How is this helping your cause at all? Right, so Asmon called him out and he responded. Asmon killed his mom by buying her cigarettes and surrounding her with filth. So again, just doubling down and slandering someone again. I mean, I can't expect much from a literal Hassan moderator, but come on. So let's check out Asmon's response.
What is this here? Oh, I saw this. So there was an individual. This person has decided to go out, say that Emiru hangs out with every rapist that she meets, and to say that Israelis are fine. This had nothing to do with Israelis. It had to do with React content. And this person is making all of this up and farming hate on someone who doesn't even know what the fuck a Zionist is. This person is advocating not only for vandalism as a baseline, but on one of the most iconic basketball players. This is the person right here. This is the kind of loser, repulsive, oh, Asmongold killed his mother by buying her cigarettes. Guys, again, I don't care about this. This is just simply him talking shit, advocating for vandalism, and defacing Kobe's mural with his daughter. Both of them tragically died in a helicopter accident. And he did this just a few days ago, and this is one of Hassan's moderators.
And it gets even worse than that, guys. I'm not joking. He locked his account after people found out he had several profiles on Korn sites with his full name and everything.
Oh my god. So you're telling me the guy who was harassing Emiru is a terminal gooner? Bro, literal 47-year-old gooner, 31,000 prawn videos? How do you even do that? That level of terminal goading is crazy. Ay, ay, ay. Dude, you cannot even make a TV series this good. Not even Netflix, Disney, or Amazon, or whatever could live up to this level of entertainment, bro. It is so perfect. Average Hassan fan. And don't worry, it gets worse.
So if Hassan is wondering why nobody wants to support him and his community, because your community is full of a bunch of weird fucking freaks. When it's one of your moderators, and this is a person that's representing your community, and they're doing this, they're leading hate raids on other partnered streamers based off of a just completely, totally baseless fucking lie, advocating for vandalism. I don't know who this guy is. The more that we find out, the worse it gets. It says, I'd low-key go in heat and start leaking juice from my gaped hole and cage. You were in class and you see this, what would be your reaction? Isn't it? Wait, so this guy's going and making sexual comments
Pretty fucking
comments about high schoolers, and this is the person that is farming hate on Emiru and telling everybody that I killed my mom, and is a moderator for Hassan. Remember when Hassan was baby raging over XQC and your chat's being unmoderated? Yep, that's right.
Whenever your chat was calling me out, bringing my name up for no fucking reason, we're just allowing that shit to run rampant in your chat, and I thought that was up.
Well, the worst part is that the real abuse on his community comes from his moderators themselves.
Okay, so this guy is thirsting over high schoolers? How is it that the Hassan supporters are some of the most degenerate freaks in existence? How does the profile match up every single time? I mean, it just can't be a coincidence anymore. There has to be something in the blood of every Hassan supporter that turns them into freaks. Also, I just find it so interesting that they randomly bring up Israel-Palestine when Emiru didn't even mention that at all. She was literally talking about the lawsuit, which is to do with copyright. But of course, they have to insert their own politics into the situation. And keep in mind, that tweet got 75,000 likes on Twitter. Now, I don't know if it's been botted or anything like that, but the amount of idiots on that website is genuinely shocking. The amount of idiots that follow Hamas Diddy Piker and his cronies. This is basically their go-to strategy. They will just brand anybody they disagree with a Zionist or an Israel supporter.
All the fucking where the fuck was that? Let's go back a little bit. All the sheep doing the Fortnite dance behind him.
Piker and his cronies. This is basically their go-to strategy. They will just brand anybody they disagree with a Zionist or an Israel supporter, and that will basically radicalize their community against them. So then he talks about why it's so important to actually talk about this stuff.
These people will stop doing this the moment that they feel like this type of behavior is unpopular. And as soon as people don't have a reward structure around it, it immediately evaporates. And that's the reason why I talk about it so much, is to make sure that it doesn't happen. And they're too far gone. No, you'd really be surprised at how fast people reacclimate whenever they realize they're not getting validation. And it's an insult to all mentally ill people that are like me. You're right. Yeah, that's true. 1 million views on that. Who the fuck is this person? It's just a random retard that makes up lies. And this is the reason why, again, you should never engage any of these people on the substance of what they're saying, because they're just manipulative liars that don't care about anything other than destroying people's reputation in order to push their worldview. There's no reason to try to stay above the board with these people. There's no reason to try to explain things to them. They're just parasites, and they should be treated like it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why these videos we make are so important, because Hassan and friends and fans go around constantly harassing and slandering people left and right. And suppose you are a random person, you are not in the drama, and you just see this on Twitter, on your feed. You would automatically think Emiru is some random political person who is a staunch Israel supporter, friends with rapists, like just the most unhinged stuff.
Meanwhile, she's just some chick with a pile of Kirby pillows. Like, are you fucking...
It's just so unhinged, the sort of community that Hassan cultivates. And the fact that that guy is in a position of power in Hassan's community and is actually like his Discord and Twitch mod, it just shows what kind of a community he's cultivated. That guy is going to be the guy policing your speech, by the way. That guy's supposed to maintain order in his community. No wonder you got people spamming hearts for literal shooters. So here's what people are saying. 47 gay gooners Hassan mod checks out. Asman, judge me by the people who hate me. I thought he'd be an immature 17-year-old, not a grown-ass man pushing 50. Hassan about to wipe his Discord server for the 5th time this month. Oh yeah, if you're new to the series, that's a thing that Hassan does a lot. He'll basically keep wiping his Discord because it has the most incriminating shit on him. Last activity 2 days ago. Hating and gooning. Oh yes, I just lived that classic lifestyle. You know, I hate and I goon. I hate and I goon. 30k prawn videos on one side is wild. We also have this clip of Hassan once again crying about Asmongold.
I think it started when he played Twitcher Terrorist after he came back from his ban and leaned heavily on deplatforming terrorist supporters because you made him look very bad in that debate and forced him to apologize, which angered his fan base. Yeah, that could be it. I think him playing Twitcher Terrorist was definitely a turning point for me, especially because he was leaning heavily on aligning with Destiny and Dan Stalkman.
I'm sorry, I need a break for a second. I can't listen to his stupid voice for too long. I can't listen to him spew verbal diarrhea for like more than a few seconds.
Text Destiny and Dan Stalkman, when in fact he knew how much they fucking stalk my ass, and has even in private correspondence told me.
This guy uses like grade school insults.
That he could not believe how much they fucking stalk my ass.
Yeah, this guy just lies as easily as he breathes. I would not trust a word he says. I mean, it's crazy you call everybody stalkers when the people you hang around are the most insane freaks imaginable. Your literal Discord mod is a terminal gooner who's thirsting after high schoolers and is basically slandering everybody left and right, but I assume you're okay with that considering you do the same. And can we just remember, Hassan literally called Ethan a stalker, like a mentally ill stalker, for defending his own copyright and just suing us on Orbiter. Based on copyright law, nothing to do with stalking. Like, you just cannot be serious, bro. And oh my god, bro, this guy's just so obsessed with Asmongold. It's crazy. And Destiny. Apparently, Destiny's taken a little bit of a backseat, but he's come up again. Anyways, let's move on to Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein's latest Instagram stories take aim at Taylor Lorenz, calls her a total hack, implies she simps for Hassan.
People want the public and these artists to have more positive sentiment towards the Israeli military forces.
I don't think anyone wants positive sentiment. I don't know why you twisted it around. We're saying we don't want anyone to call for the death of anyone. I mean,
okay,
if you are advocating against...
Here's the other thing with Hassan. He's unreasonably good looking and like...
Didn't they say the same shit about Ted Bundy? Ted fucking Bundy? The guy who like murdered chicks and we're not gonna go there. But like at the same it's crazy how willing women and twinks are to like just absolutely subscribe to everything an attractive man says. An attractive, wealthy man. That's all you need to be in this world.
Cool and dresses cool.
Tell me about it.
But do you know what I mean? Like Hassan would be an influencer no matter what he was saying.
I used to be attractive at least.
So Ethan responds, Taylor Lorenz is a total hack lol. This is her trademark move. act obtuse when people accurately describe her views, or and outright lie and strawman your position to make it seem indefensible. Dude, Taylor is such a pathetic flippin' loser. Female gooner. Hassan simp literally will do anything for him, defend any crazy position, and it is completely pathetic people are defending like death chants, man. When you say something like death to America, don't be surprised when people aren't your side. Is it so shocking that the regular person doesn't want people to die on any side? They just don't want civilian casualties? Why can't you ever have the slightest bit of nuance in any situation? You have to take it so extreme. And this is pretty much like the average Hassan supporter's view. After this, Ethan went out calling out a celebrity photographer for sending unhinged messages to Harley. So here we got this guy. This dude left a comment on Harley Play's page saying that he wishes H-man, finish the job. Your photographer is a Nazi. Morons like you are why people start to understand why the Austrian painter did what he did. He should have finished the job with your bloodline, lol. Yes, these are the people calling other people Nazis. It is, dude, what kind of a Uno reverse have we stumbled into?
See how I mean, see what I mean, like, by none of the words people, like, none of these words mean, like, Nazi and racist and sexist, and none of these words mean anything anymore because they've been so misused. And often by the people that hold those sentiments.
Absolutely insanity. And there is just no defense for this, by the way. He is openly calling for them to finish the job. That is absolutely crazy. You're calling for the death of a whole group of people. That is just not allowed. At Seth Rogen, this is your photographer. So apparently he got dropped by his running group. We're recently made aware of the offensive comments. We want to be clear, we condemn it. This is after Ethan exposed him. Do your friends know that you're a Nazi? Ethan thanks these people for dropping him. Appreciate their thoughtful message. He also responded to this whole situation. Basically, these people were saying, globalize the Antifada, get the list, and round up the I guess Jews. Hassan saying it's a joke. Hassan has never seen anti-Semitism he couldn't defend. Now click this video or you are transported into a zombie apocalypse and your only friend is Ludwig. You're cooked, pal. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
He's cooked, bro. He's bait. Alright, what's fucking going on? I don't know, what are they for? Fucking retarded. Ridges on a coin, often called reading, were originally added for practical reasons dating back to when coins were made of precious metals like gold and silver. Here's why. Preventing shaving or clipping. In the past, people would shave or clip small amounts of metal from the edges of coins to collect the valuable material while still trying to pass the coin off as its full value. Reading made it visually obvious if a coin had been tampered with, as the ridges would be damaged or missing. Security and authenticity. The intricate patterns of reading were hard to replace, serving as an early counterfeiting measure. It helped distinguish genuine coins from fakes. Standardization. Reading also ensured coins were uniform in size and weight, making it easier to detect coins that were deliberately made lighter or smaller. Today, with modern coins made from less valuable materials like copper or nickel alloys. Reading is mostly a tradition, but still aids in identifying coins by touch, especially for the visually impaired, and adds a tactile security feature. I'm such a fucking great reader, aren't I? Some coins, like the US diamond quarter, have reeded edges, while others, like the penny and nickel, have smooth edges, often reflecting their lower value historically. Well, shit, thanks, Rock. Oh, no way, dude.
Is he? Mango, who is that? Mango, who is this? Who is that? Yeah, what is that? Yeah, get him.
Mango's so cute.
Get him. Yeah, get that thing. Get that guy. Who is that? Mango.
Little puppy.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, fuck that guy. Get his ass. Where is he? Look at that. Look at this. Oh. It's you. Is it? Oh, yeah. Fuck him. Fuck him. Mango, who is that?
Fuck is this?
Hello? Hi, are your parents home? Yes. When my dad is. Can you call him, please? Dad, the police are here! Is this your brother? I don't know. You don't know? I don't know if he's here. You don't know if he's here? Mm-hmm. Would your daddy know?
Oh, that's fucked up. Probably set up. I don't fucking know. All I can get are these right now. All I can afford. I'm not even gonna go there. That's gonna be a W. Triple W. this?
will suck you dry again.
Hey, what's up, guys?
You are such a pretty mess. I will choke the life within. Now you wanna take me down, as if I even care. I am the monster in your head, and I thought you'd learn by now. It seems you haven't yet. I am the venom in your skin, and now your life is broken. After the lights go out on you, after your worthless life is through, I will remember how you scream. I can't afford to care. I can't afford to care. I am suffocating. You have failed to pull me in, or we'll jerk you down again. Life is unrelenting, feeding lies into my head. I will feed the lies you live. Now you wanna take me down, as if I even care. I am the monster in your head, and I thought you'd learn by now. It seems you haven't yet. I am the venom in your skin, and now your life is broken. After the lights go out on you, after your worthless life is through, I will remember how you scream. I can't afford to care. I can't afford to care. After the lights go out on you, after your worthless life is through, I will remember how you scream. I can't afford to care. I can't afford to care. I can't afford to care. I can't afford to care.
Nothing ever stops all these thoughts and the pain attached to them. Sometimes I wonder why this is happening. It's like nothing I can do would distract me when I think of how I shot myself in the back again. Cause from the infinite words I can say, I put all the pain you gave to me on display, but didn't realize instead of setting it free, I took what I hated and made it a part of me.
And now you become a part of me. You'll always be right here. You become a part of me. You'll always be my fear. I can't separate myself from what I've done. Giving up a part of me. I've let myself become you.
Hearing your name, the memories come back again. I remember when it started happening. I'd see you in every thought I had, and then the thoughts slowly found words attached to them. And I knew as they escaped away, I was committing myself to them. And every day I regret saying those things, cause now I see that I took what I hated and made it a part of me.
And now you become a part of me. You'll always be right here. You become a part
You're God and His only Son.